How's it going, everyone? We're live. We are back with another live Godzilla 70th Anniversary Movie Marathon live discussion. Today, we are on episode 4 of the series, and we are going to be talking about the wonderful, magnificent final entry, technically, to the Showa era of Godzilla movies. We are talking about Terror of MechaGodzilla today. I want to thank everyone who happens to watch the stream, whether it's live or after the fact. Thank you guys for supporting these live streams and videos. I really, really do appreciate it. It will just be me today. Both guests had things come up in life, and that is absolutely okay here. These are made to be fun, not supposed to be a tie down to anything, so it'll just be me, which is okay. Because of that, because it's just me, we'll keep it a little bit shorter this episode, just because you guys know I ramble on a lot, kind of like what I'm already doing a little bit right now with these streams. So I'm going to keep this one a little bit shorter. Plus, I have to get back on my binge watch of -1, as the other day we got my 4K copy of it, my Amazon exclusive. I've watched -1. I've started minus color. I'm only like 2 minutes into it, and earlier today, I had orthochromatic Shin Godzilla watched for the first time. So the video for -1 will be coming out soon, ish, maybe next week, maybe the week after. I do want to talk about it a little bit. Terror of MechaGodzilla is one of my favorite Godzilla movies and one of the first 5 Godzilla movies I saw on VHS, Alpha Godzilla Buddies. That is awesome. Terror of MechaGodzilla for me wasn't it wasn't really in the handful of firsts for me, but I did have the classic media DVD that came out in the early 2000s, at 2003, I think, 2002, 2003. -1 3 times. Nice. I was fortunate enough to be able to see it 4 times myself. I was able to see the standard movie, just -1. I saw that one 3 times, and I did see minus color once. But now I've seen -1 technically 5 times. Just total count, not talking about theater, and minus color starting the second rewatch. And I'm very, very excited. Orthochromatic Shin Godzilla has got me in the mood to watch things in black and white. And although it would turn into a cash grab, I kind of hope that they do it for other films as well. I saw MechaGodzilla and Titanosaurus. Awesome, awesome. So let's get this show on the road. Let's stop talking about the other movies, and let's talk about the wonderful, wonderful film of Terror of MechaGodzilla. Like I said, so this film came out in 1995. I'm just getting my talking points here for this. Just to kind of gives a heads up, I probably watched this movie almost 20 times this week. I'm going to be honest. I had a lot of trouble sleeping this week. And when I go to bed, I watch a Godzilla movie. Me and the Bulldog both watch a Godzilla movie. He gets kind of grumpy if I don't have anime or Godzilla playing. So a lot of the week, especially on my last few nights of the work week, I just had Terror of MechaGodzilla playing. It wasn't until yesterday that I actually stopped watching it to let myself kind of process the movie without seeing it, really think about it. And I can say it's one of my favorite films. It's in the top 10. Spoiler alert, all of the 70s movies are in my top 10. I'm very partial to that era, that section of the Showa era. Pardon me. It's a very, very wonderful movie. I got the -1 figure. Oh, nice, nice. I was fortunate enough to be able to get the theater exclusive, and I actually brought it to the theater with me once. And the Monster Arts. I got the Monster Arts 2 days after it came out, so where it was delivered. Titanosaurus is one of your favorites. What do you think of Titanosaurus? We will talk about Titanosaurus here in a little bit, but I'll sum it up. I really love Titanosaurus. Yes, all but one of the Showa movies is on Max, and I didn't know that it was also on Tubi. So if anyone here watches this video and you're wondering where to watch this, and you don't have the physical Criterion collection, and you don't want to pay aftermarket prices for the DVDs, you can watch almost all of the Showa movies on Max. The only one they don't have is King Kong versus Godzilla, unless I haven't done a search check for it, and maybe they added it recently. So that is the only movie from the Showa era that is not on Max. Godzilla vs. Hedorah is your favorite Showa film? Awesome. I cannot wait for the Hedorah episode whenever we draw it out of the hat. So let's start this off, though, with the discussion. Not doing summaries, like I said last episode. So the overall plot of the film is it's a romantic tragedy. We have this researcher, which I'm also going to be flipping between. I'm going to be flipping between my photos as well. I have screenshots from IMB that I'm using for reference for the characters. We have the biologist Akira Ichinose, who's our main protagonist. He is pretty much researching Titanosaurus. He knows of our doctor character, Dr. Mifube. He knows of his... Oops, excuse me, that was my hands. Little air fart. Haven't done that in years. That's funny. Dr. Mifune, he is this biologist that is rejected from his colleges. He pretty much has a really big name in biology, and then he's dropped because he believes in this dinosaur kaiju Titanosaurus. And Akira Ichinose is trying to pretty much prove him right. And the intro of the film is them pretty much finding out that Titanosaurus is real. It destroys a sub. They're trying to figure out what's going on. And he really believes it's them. So they look for it. In that adventure, he finds Tomo Ai's character, who was at G-Fest last year, not last year, the year before, in 2022, who plays Katsura, his daughter, Mifune's daughter. And this kind of love story is started with them. And it's this push and pull. It has the reveal that she's actually a cyborg. She is killed in an accident. And the black hole aliens from the first movie, a different section, I believe, is how it's explained, or it's alluded upon that it's not the same exact section from the first movie because they all are killed. This is its separate section, kind of getting a revenge plot. They come in and they're trying to take over the world, destroy the world with MechaGodzilla and Titanosaurus, which they're rebuilding MechaGodzilla. And Katsura is a cyborg, so she's conflicted between following her dad and this love arc. It ends not very well for either character as Katsura kills herself. Sorry, YouTube doesn't like those words. She unalives herself. Excuse me. She unalives herself. YouTube really doesn't like that K word. Yeah, it's a very, very dark film. That's why I honestly I put it. It's a tokusatsu film, but it's a romantic comedy. It's a not comedy. It's a romantic tragedy. Katsura passes away at the end of the film, and Ichinose is the last one alive who pretty much has to. It's not in the film, but kind of ends with how is he gonna talk about Mifune, both of them, because Mifune betrays the human race, sides with the aliens to get revenge, and still does up until the end of the film where he gets killed as well. He gets shot. And then Katsura, who's really just this tragedy character, who's really just being used. It's kind of, if you guys are familiar with Dragon Ball, she's literally the Broly character in this film, where Dr. Mifune, the scientist, is Paragus. Pretty much using psychology to keep her in line. Same thing with the aliens, to keep her in line with the goals of destroying the planet, taking over the planet, destroying Japan. Really is what they really want to do. It's always Japan, of course, because it's from Japan. And that's just really the tragedy of it, is this character who wants to do good, who wants to prove her father, but also wants to help her father. And that's how it goes. And it's a tough split, and it creates a lot of tension in the film. It creates a lot of adversity because we have the Interpol agents who are also trying to capture, stop, and, if needed, unalive the enemy. Um, it's very difficult. It's one of the harder films to watch. It's way more adult. It's the 70s start off very kid-like, and it ends very adultish, even though I do believe this film was still shown off at a kids um, uh, a kids celebration. There was a kids film festival, excuse me. I do believe that this one was also shown off, just like the years prior. And it's just kind of surprising because it's got a ton of adult themes. There's almost zero. Actually, I don't think there's a single kid character in this movie. No, there's not. There's not a single child actor in this film besides just like crowds. And that's pretty difficult. Um, you know, it's kind of a difficult thing to think about that this is for kids, but and that's how it goes. It's tough. It is a very tough film, but I also enjoy it because of that. It's very adult. It holds itself very well, especially if you watch the version that's on Max is the uncensored version, the true original version of the movie. If you're like me, you grew up with Century Media. A lot of it's cut out. There is one brief scene of nudity that's cut out. There's violence. A lot of the fighting. Even I believe in the classic media cut, Dr. Mafume's unliving isn't even shown. And same thing with Katsura. She kind of just uhs. And her burial's not in it either. She just kind of uhs instead of herself in the body rib area. So it's a very tough film. And it's Ishiro Honda's last film as well, directing this series, and it's got a powerful send off. I think the end of the film it ends very show. It ends pretty much the same way that all the '70s films end. The protagonists end up on a cliff of some sort, outlooking the sea and ocean that Godzilla, and if he has an ally in Gigan's case, watches him swim off, and that's it. That's the end of the movie, and it's very poetic. It ends that way. For our characters, it does feel like a big send off to Godzilla, because it was said that this would be the last film for years, even at the time. And as we know, it would take 9 years to get the next Godzilla film. So and that's why I think it's a romantic tragedy. So that I think the plot's very, very strong in this one. The acting is very strong as well. Coincidentally, I think all the actors do really, really well. There's a lot of actors that are from '74 that make brief cameos in this movie, which is really, really cool. There's also, of course, a little bit of B-roll at the beginning for the intro, just pretty much summing up '74 and really quick in like 2 minutes. Through scenes, pretty much just the kaiju stuff, not a lot of the human stuff, and then it goes into the film. The pacing's really nice. The film's pretty short. It's like an hour and 20 minutes, I think, maybe an hour 30, give or take. It's one of the strongest films, I think, out of the '70s that even today, after watching it many, 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 many times over, I feel like it's one of the easiest ones to sit down and just watch all the way through. Pacing's good. The brief moments with Titanosaurus, and there's the first reveal of Godzilla. Pretty much Godzilla stopping Titanosaurus from destroying the bay towards the kind of the beginning, middle of the film's really nice. Having a few surprise Titanosaurus attacks, the little scenes of MechaGodzilla getting repaired really, really helps space out the human plot, just reminding us that this is still a Tokusatsu film, still a Godzilla film, and it really builds up nicely to the final fight, which is a huge chunk of the final part of the film. Alpha Godzilla buddies. Ishiro Honda is a great movie director. He is one of the best. I still hold that to a T. I think he is one of the best. He's got a plethora of amazing movies, not just Godzilla and Tokusatsu as well. He has a wonderful resume of movies as a director. He's awesome. The Gamera movies do have a lot of kid protagonists. Yep. Titanosaurus is one of the most powerful. Yes, we'll talk about that. Favorite part? Your favorite part is Godzilla's entrance. Nice. It is one of the peak scenes in the film, especially for the Tokusatsu stuff. It's really quick. It's a pretty brief scene. I don't even know if I would really call it a fight. Godzilla pretty much just comes out, and then Titanosaurus is pulled back, and that's pretty much it. But it's a really nice scene as well. Like I kind of said earlier, all the characters are really good. Even some of like the sub roles in the film that are just kind of there for a few scenes, I really like. There's some goofy stuff. There's goofy acting on the protagonist side. The villains are kept pretty serious in this film. The soundtrack is also wonderful. The main theme is peak. I love it. I love it. The script is also really good. Obviously, the English dub, not great. It's not bad, especially now having not seen it in a while. I think the translations that they use for it on Max is really excellent. Definitely new revelations are revealed, and because it's the original version, things make more sense than the English dub. If Joseph was here, he would be able to tell me if there is a uncensored version of the English production, which I think off the top of my head there is, but I personally have never seen it, so I can't make a comment on it. So the action in this film, the kaiju fights, even the human drama, I think it holds strong. It holds strong. There's a ton of more spy-esque stuff. Alpha Godzilla Buddies brings up a great scene where it's revealed that the black hole aliens have a ton of slaves in a prison cell where they cut all their throats so they can't talk, they can't reveal that they're there. Very violent. It's a surprising scene to see in the film. It's like, oh gosh, when they're letting everyone out after the first base is blown up. Same thing with 74. It happens in both. There's this really cool scene of it's right at the end where the leader of the black hole aliens is escaping, and he's just kind of like super speeding around, and Interpol's chasing them. They get into a cliff, and he's just like, you can't catch me, you can't kill me even if you tried. And he jumps off the cliff, and they're all just like, whoa, he just did that. And then it reveals that he gets in a UFO and he flies off, and Godzilla looks up while he's dealing with Titanosaurus, and Godzilla's just like, I'm not having that this time, no more comebacks, you're done, and blows up the UFO. Super fun scene, a super small scene in the overall final fight. The actual tokusatsu effects in this film are really good. It was mentioned earlier by Alpha Godzilla Buddies. The initial scene of the attack on Tokyo with MechaGodzilla and Titanosaurus is done really well. Titanosaurus uses its tail to blow away, to just completely blow away Tokyo, and it's done really well. Pretty sure they probably just used a very big fan, and they just blew away their miniature sets, and it looks really cool. The destruction is felt, it's there. It's really nice to see MechaGodzilla destroying a city. We didn't get to see MechaGodzilla in its true form destroy too many, or pretty much no cities at all in 74. It was pretty much in the fake Godzilla suit, and that's all the city destruction we see. So it's nice in this film that they brought it back, and it's just blowing up buildings with its finger missiles. It's using its I-beams, chest laser. It's just really cool to see this dynamic duo team up that the Showa films are kind of known for. There's dynamic duos, whether it's Godzilla and Anguirus, or Godzilla and Jet Jaguar, or it's Gigan and Ghidorah, or Gigan and Megalon. or Godzilla and King Caesar, or in this movie, MechaGodzilla and Titanosaurus. It continues this trend of 2, 2, 2, and 2 after, starting with 72. Titanosaurus was meant to appear in Godzilla vs. MechaGodzilla 93. I did not know that. That's new info for me. That's cool. I didn't know. That is interesting. Disappointing that it didn't happen, but there's a lot of concepts from the Heisei era that are dropped. That seems to be the big thing with the Heisei films, is tons and tons and tons of things dropped, which, under budget and time restraints is just how it goes. I don't, off the top of my head, there's not really any scenes that look bad in Terror of MechaGodzilla. If someone wanted to make a debate that the final scene where Godzilla's swimming off in the ocean and they use that water suit, I think that suit's fine. It's kind of like the Cybot in 84. It kind of almost purposefully looks a little ugly, and there's a lot of charm to that. It's kind of like 67 as well. It's ugly, which I don't think that suit's ugly. It's just different. It's very dad-like. So I wouldn't say that's an ugly suit. And it's got its own charm. And I think that water suit that they use in 74 and 75 has its own charm. And I think that looks wonderful. And the sunset behind him as he swims off, as he kind of waves sayonara to us. It's nice. I really... There's a little less blood in this film. There's more blood on the human characters than than our kaiju. Godzilla gets the beatdown of a lifetime in this film during the final fight. When he's getting tag teamed, Godzilla gets destroyed. This is the first time since 72, I think, which it's only 3 films, but, that's still 3 years where it feels like Godzilla's going to lose. He really, really feels like he's going to lose. Titanosaurus picks him up by his jaw with his mouth, which is already brutal in itself, and he's wagging him around. MechaGodzilla is hitting him with missiles and his projectiles and his energy attacks, and Godzilla gets buried, and then Titanosaurus just sits there and jumps up and down on this Godzilla, or on Godzilla under the ground, until Titanosaurus is weakened by our human cast with a supersonic, what is the English dub call it? A supersonic radar gun, I believe. That's what they call it, a supersonic gun. I can't remember. It's something super goofy. But they're using sound waves, supersonic speeds, to disorientate Titanosaurus, since it uses sound waves and echolocation. So really cool way of not defeating, but immobilizing and pretty much rendering Titanosaurus useless. And it's really, really cool that there's multiple twists in the film, with Katsura being a cyborg, and then her being the new controller of MechaGodzilla, and then MechaGodzilla having a second head. The black hole aliens learn from the first film, which in this film I feel like they do the whole way through. They prove that they've mostly learned from the past mistakes of the last crew. Besides the fact, still underestimating Interpol and still underestimating our human cast. MechaGodzilla gets the top portion of his head ripped off this time, and he has a cyborg head. Really, really cool. It's a nice twist. Godzilla is also very, very shocked by it as well. And it's a lot of fun. It's interesting in this film, the power, the power scaling with Godzilla. Because although Godzilla does get a big beatdown, he also, once Titanosaurus is removed and MechaGodzilla is distracted, Godzilla just pops right back up. And then completely, once Titanosaurus is out of it and it can just be a one-on-one to another one-on-one fight, Godzilla absolutely rips apart MechaGodzilla. MechaGodzilla stands almost 0 chances, even after his head's ripped off, and Godzilla's kind of disorientated from that, surprised. And he gets hit by the secondary, the eye lasers from the robot head, which are stronger somehow than the other film. Um, and it's an interesting thing. Godzilla's just kind of able to tank it all. It's a big beating, but he's also able just to overcome it. And then when it comes to Titanosaurus is already disabled. Disabled pretty much. He's not able to fight or defend himself. So Godzilla kind of just holds him, beats him up, hits him with an atomic blast. Titanosaurus stops moving and drops. Once again, it was mentioned earlier, Titanosaurus isn't technically pronounced dead, but I think there's a very strong implication that Titanosaurus is killed due to overstimulated echolocation receptors pretty much destroying how Titanosaurus works, and then Godzilla's just breath effect, which we kind of know throughout all the 70 films, but especially 74 and 75. His atomic breath is like Heisei level, like red spiral, red breath effects, like overpowered. I find Godzilla's breath effect in 74 and 75 just extra strong. They make him extra tough, which is absolutely okay. The aliens from the Showa era always underestimate. Yeah, they always that is the overarching kind of plot point in all of them. Which it's just a common plot point in general that. Oops, excuse me for a second. Excuse me, I had a yawn. Excuse me. Thank you. And it's just a common plot point in general is that the antagonists of films underestimate the protagonists, even in revenge plot films. And it's done this way as well. They slightly underestimate the humans. I feel like they're better prepared, but they're not set for the supersonic ray gun. Definitely that was unplanned. And they definitely underestimate Godzilla again. Which, that's just how it goes. Underestimate Godzilla, you get swamped. It's pretty much a tale as old as time for these Godzilla movies that if you underestimate Godzilla, no matter which Godzilla it is, you're going to lose the fight. It's a lot of fun, though. It's a ton of fun. I know this movie, when I was a kid, I definitely always thought that this movie is one of the most popular. Yes, I remember when Godzilla destroyed the base of Kelox, just absolutely destroyed it. Super strong. I always thought that this was one of the more popular Godzilla films, and then as an adult, being in groups, having discussions, seeing movie tier lists, I found that this movie is kind of like in the middle of the row for a lot of people, which is fair. We're all, of course, entitled to our own opinions. Opinions can't be wrong, especially on things subjective like art and films. Not every movie is made for everyone. A film can be widely popular and accepted by 98% of everyone who watches it, and there can still be the 2% that doesn't like it. It happens, and that's absolutely okay. For me, though, this film is right up there at cream of the crop with the Showa films. Like I said, it's a top 10 for me. Spoiler alert for when we finally finish this marathon. Once we finish all the movies, there will be a tier list video or a live stream, a tier list live stream where we're going to be pretty much ranking all the Godzilla movies in a list, which I already have the list made, but probably after all of this, it's going to be changed a little bit because now I'm rewatching these films within, a week's time or a little less than a week's time, multiple times. So I'm really able to think about these films subjectively and objectively. And it's just, I find this movie to be really, really strong. It's a really, really good end to the Showa era. It's got a little bit of everything in it besides kaiju goofiness. The kaiju in this movie are just completely serious. But the human, some of the protagonist parts are still a little goofy. Our main man is still, throughout the film trying to rizz up Katsura, throughout the film. So there is a little bit of goofiness there throughout the film, multiple times. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy this film. I really, really do. It's a strong film, in my opinion, and I love watching it. Oh, goodness. Brain fart. Let me take a drink here. My voice is running out, guys. Sorry. Very long night last night at work. Long 13 hours. So even though I was able to wake up in time this week, rest up, really think about this movie, take notes, it's still a little goofy. Still a little goofy. I like how Titanosaurus crushed the submarine with his bare hands. Yeah. These kaiju have all been strong. It also, not that it's a point against Titanosaurus, but also submarines, super low levels. You know, if anything goes wrong with the submarine, the pressure of the ocean just collapses it. But it just shows how strong Titanosaurus is to be able to pretty much do it with his bare hands before that happens. Yeah. So I guess I did take notes, but I didn't update update it completely. So let's talk about my favorite scenes, which we did the last two streams. My favorite scene in this movie is the end. Pretty much the whole final fight is my favorite scene. It's a long portion of the movie, and when I say final fight, I'm not just talking about the kaiju. I'm talking about the humans as well. The build up to this drama with the black hole aliens, Dr. Mifune, Katsura, Ichinose, and Interpol is wonderful. It's, the whole film has this arc of it building up to this point where our antagonist characters are going to have to make a choice, especially with both Mifune and his daughter. It's which side are you going to take in the end? Both pretty much kind of quietly choose the antagonistic side of it, which costs them, their lives. Ichinose doesn't, even through love, doesn't give in. He doesn't side with the aliens. He doesn't side with them. He doesn't change sides. He stays through. He wants to prove that Mifune was right while also still stopping the aliens, and he does try constantly throughout the film to try to get them to switch sides, to get them back where they were, and it doesn't work. And it's this kind of sad moment watching both of them just choose the wrong path. And then Godzilla and MechaGodzilla and Titanosaurus fighting is just beautiful. Choreograph is super different. Honda chooses some really different low angles during this film, which is really nice to see, especially with Titanosaurus and Godzilla. It really exponentially increases and dramatically changes how large Titanosaurus is. Titanosaurus, the suit, is already really big. But when you're doing these low angles that are aiming up, it makes Titanosaurus look even larger, and it adds this grand scale for this final fight. Bring back all of MechaGodzilla's weapons, although it is mostly stock footage. They do, during that final fight, use the Godzilla running up to MechaGodzilla while it's firing off everything. It's a little goofy, but it's how the 70 films kind of have rolled. They all have stock footage at some point throughout the films, for most of them. The only one that actually doesn't is 71, interestingly enough. The bulldog is mad, the door is closed. I just heard him snarfing outside my door. But my favorite scene is the final fight. All of it. The human side and the kaiju side. My least favorite scene, it's kind of like 74. I don't really have a least favorite scene. And there's, I guess the only thing that I would say is I just kind of wish that stock footage of 74 wasn't used in the final fight. And that's about it. Like, I get launching off all those projectiles off of the suit or the prop probably diminishes it. It's probably the reason why the 74 suit isn't here anymore. Well, one of the reasons, also besides the fact that it got blown up. just dirtied and stained the suit, which works for the movie, but to reuse the suit or the longevity of the suit doesn't help. It's probably one of the small reasons why the 72 suit. Hey, thank Laszlo Plays for stopping by. Thank you for saying hi. I hope everything's going well. Thank you. Thanks for stopping in really quick, taking time out of your day, even if it's for a minute or two. I completely appreciate everyone stopping by and watching these live. I really do, guys. It's so much fun sitting here talking with you guys, interacting, having fun, talking about these films, or when it's the chill streams, just talking about Godzilla in general, talking about figures, talking about the art. I want to do a stream where we talk about the art. I have a ton of art that I don't have up on the walls yet from AMA last year, a year ago today, actually. Hey, wait. Speaking of which, excuse me, I should have started off with this. Excuse me. Happy Cinco de Mayo, everyone. Hopefully everyone's enjoying it responsibly. It's a big alcohol consumption holiday. Please don't drink if you're under 21. Please and thank you. And if you're drinking tonight, if you're over 21, please don't drive. Get a DD, get an Uber, or if you're in an area where it's safe and you know the area well enough, walk. But walk in groups. Try not to walk alone. The world is kind of a crazy place right now. But enjoy Cinco de Mayo, everyone. Want to get that out of the way because it's a holiday. Also, yesterday was May the 4th. May the 4th, everyone, as well. I didn't get a chance to celebrate because I was at work, but I'll be watching The Phantom Menace on Tuesday. But enough of that. I just wanted to make sure I got those in here as it's a holiday, and yesterday was also a holiday. But Lanslow Plays too. Thank you for stopping by and saying hi. I really appreciate it. I hope all is well. Very nice to see you. But yeah, that's pretty much backtrack to Terror of MechaGodzilla. That's kind of the scene I would change, is just that little stock footage used at the end of the film. The intro is super nice. It's super cool to see those scenes again as an intro. But just that little bit in the final fight, could have changed it. Could have used the 75 suit. Could have had a prop. But I also understand why they didn't. And that's kind of it, guys. Not much I haven't said already, besides talking about the kaiju themselves, I guess. So this is the final section. I'm not going to try to take too long into this. I'm not going to try to talk for almost 30 minutes. We're at just about 40 minutes. I don't want to sit here and talk about Godzilla, MechaGodzilla, and Titanosaurus for 20-30 minutes, especially because Godzilla and MechaGodzilla really aren't that different from the last film. Titanosaurus we're definitely going to be chatting about because Titanosaurus is awesome. So let's get Godzilla out of the way. The suit changes a little bit. He looks a little bit more grumpier in this film. Eyes got shortened from the 73 to 74, and then this film they get curled, and then the mouth shape is changed to where he's kind of look like he looks like he's grimacing all the time, or he just woke up on a Monday morning after a very enjoyable weekend and he has to go back to his 9-to-5 job and he's not happy about it. He just looks grumpy. Otherwise, the suit doesn't change. I'm almost 100% sure it's just the head on the suit. Kind of cool. Super easy. I personally, I love the design. If you guys have been on the channel for a while, I used to own every single Bandai. At least one of every version of every Bandai ever, mainly from the new set. And I do miss my 70s Godzillas. I miss my 74 a lot. I miss my 75 a lot as well. I had the Toys Dream Project version, and I had the Memorial box set version, and neither are in my possession anymore. Definitely tempted to pick up those new re-releases of the 75 and Titanosaurus, because they're pretty much just the Toys Dream Project set over again, but we'll see. Godzilla's really good. Personality doesn't change. He's just the hero of the day. He does the things he needs to do, which is take out the aliens and the kaiju quickly, or as quick as he can, when he can, and that's basically it. MechaGodzilla, once again, also doesn't change. I feel like the proportions on him change a little bit. The legs feel a little less, or feel a little bit more stumpy. Oh, excuse me again. I couldn't hit the mute fast enough. I'm sorry, guys. Excuse me for that sneeze. The MechaGodzilla suit changes a little bit, and then we do have the inner head. Like I said earlier, super, super fun, cool surprise at the end of the film. I enjoy it. I like the look of it as well. I'm a very big fan of that. In toy form, it would be, a head sculpt. Hopefully we can get some figures of that, or I know I've been told that X Plus is has an opportunity. Not that I'm confirming anything, but it is something that's possible down the timeline. The favorite sculptors line, there is from Monster Maker 28, the gentleman who sculpted this Godzilla and the recent Cybot Godzilla. There is a 75 Godzilla, a 75 MechaGodzilla, and a Titanosaurus. He's got all three he's made before, so hopefully that means next year and maybe towards the end of this year, X Plus will use the FLS line to start releasing those figures because I want them very, very badly. Yep, Godzilla became a hero in his fifth film. Yep, that is correct. Took till 74B to get there, and then, he's kind of a hero, kind of not still. I mean, he mainly just is used to take out Ghidorah. It's really 65 where I would say it solidifies. But people are still afraid of him and Rodan as well in 65. And even 66, it's really not till 67 where outlook on him is positive for the most part. Even still, it's kind of iffy in 67. 68, it's the introduction of Monster Island where there's at least a neutral respect for Godzilla. And not a feared destroyer of the world. But yeah, it's pretty much 64B where the transition into hero over villain begins. Hey Kingzilla, how's it going? Hopefully all is well. But yeah, MechaGodzilla, it's nice. I really like it. I love Showa MechaGodzilla 74 and 75. Super badass. So, now Titanosaurus. We're going to talk about Titanosaurus here after I take another drink. Do I watch Monster Island Buddies? I haven't in years, if I'm being honest. I haven't. At least 4 or 5 years, probably. I think I was like in the 50s, maybe the 60s of episodes, maybe. I know he's in like the 120s now. I think I was in the 50s and 60s when I ended up kind of just stopping. When I started that was when I was still in high school, and I started really pushing the Dragon Ball side of my collecting and music. I was really in high school. Godzilla's always been one of my favorite things, but Dragon Ball Z and mainly Slipknot. Did you watch the WikiZilla? I did not, no. I'm subscribed to the channel. I just haven't watched through all their videos and their profiles yet. But Titanosaurus, one of the most interesting designed kaijus, one of the tallest second or third tallest Showa kaiju. Can't remember off the top of my head if Hedorah's stats are larger. I'm pretty sure Hedorah's actually taller. Because Godzilla's almost, his eyes are like Titanosaurus's neck, where Hedorah's like leaps and bounds taller than him. Not as tall as Ghidorah, but almost there. Titanosaurus is one of the most interesting design kaijus, especially for me. I love the colors. I love the almost simple dinosaur design. I love the tail fin. Super, super fun. Alpha Godzilla mentioned in the beginning, or towards the beginning of the film. In Unleashed, it has a supersonic ray, which is super cool. It's not in the film, but it's super nice. It's just a very interesting kaiju. The colors on it are super, super fun. Titanosaurus is one of my favorite kaiju to collect, especially in the Sofubi realm of things. There are ton of Titanosauruses. I might not have my Bandai anymore, but I have 3 Sofubi Titanosauruses so far. I have a Bullmark, which is signed by Tomoko Ai, the actress of Katsura Mifube. I do have my Marusan 350 Titanosaurus, and I do have my Marmot Monster Heaven Titanosaurus. Titanosaurus was going to be 2 dinosaurs combined into one. Interesting. Shares the same name as the actual Titanosaurus that lived on Earth. There you go. Interesting facts. Super cool. Super cool that it's based on a real dinosaur, which really works for the film since it's a film about a deranged scientist, biologist that was told he was crazy for believing that a dinosaur still existed. Ended up being true. Super, that works. That's super cool. It's just a fun design. It's super sleek. It's tall. Like I said, figures are fun to collect. I cannot wait for a favorite sculptures line Titanosaurus so I can get one. The 30 centimeter is pretty spendy on the aftermarket nowadays, so I hope for a retail version. I can't wait to see what the Rick will come with. Interested to see what it will. Probably interchangeable tails, I guess. Titanosaurus can't light up. There's not really any extras in the movie that they could make into it. I guess they could make the ship that has the supersonic ray weapon on it. They can make that as a Rick extra. That would be kind of cool. Glad Bandai got figures. Yeah, it's super cool that Bandai has finally the last few years been getting us for reissues when it comes to a reissue for Titanosaurus, and then Varon, Baragon, and Gorosaurus getting into the movie Monster Series line. It is definitely needed. I miss all those figures a lot in my collection. No, I think the Titanosaur Roar is super cool. It's different. It's not a reused. Well, actually, I think it is a reused Roar from Ultra. Maybe not. I think it's close. I think there's another Kaiju in the Ultraman series that has a Roar that's similar, but I think it's slightly different. And it doesn't scare me, and it definitely doesn't annoy me. I find it to be an interesting roar. I'm sure it's annoying for most people at the tone it's at, but I don't mind it. It's super cool. And that's kind of it, I guess. Just to mention figures really quick, I hope Monster Arts makes a Titanosaurus, but we'll see. We'll see. We have nothing from 74 yet besides that original MechaGodzilla, and I really, really do hope that they remake that figure completely, do a new mold. That old SHMA MechaGodzilla is not very good. As a guy who used to own it, it's too small now that they scaled up the Showa stuff, and it's really inaccurate. It has some accuracy issues up the wazoo, which they can fix now. The Chogokin looks almost perfect, and I'm still debating getting the Chogokin MechaGodzilla that was revealed. So I think that's going to be it, though, guys. Not a lot to say, and because it's just me, I don't want to sit here and ramble on too much longer. 50 minutes kind of seems a good length for a solo stream when talking about these movies, especially because I've already done some rambling tangents, and I'm starting to get into another one. So that for me is my sign to say, see you guys later. But before we do that, we have one final thing we have to do before we go. We have got the hat that has the rest of the Godzilla movies that we haven't reviewed yet in here. Interesting. I didn't know the suit actor for Titanosaurus was Zone Fighter and Leo. That is super cool to know. Awesome. It all comes back together. But there is one thing we have to change about this week. As I promised, Godzilla -1 will be added to the hat finally, now that we have it in hand and I can watch it as many times as I want. We are going to fold it up fairly. I'm going to show. This is how I folded it up, so this is how I cannot tell which movies are which. Besides the fact The only thing that kind of changes this is you can see the length of the text on here. It's kind of how I knew we got 74 last week, but I folded it 4 times, nice and thin, to match, 74, to match the others, as you can see here. We are going to shake these up. I'm going to physically do it. I'm not going to look. These aren't suggested. I'm reviewing all of the Godzilla films, all of them, even the anime trilogy. It is a random assortment. All of them are in this hat now, besides the other 3 that we've already reviewed, which would be Godzilla X Kong New Empire, Godzilla 98, Godzilla vs. MechaGodzilla 74, and now Terror of MechaGodzilla. Every other film outside of those 4 is in this hat, and it is randomly drawn. That way there's no bias. I didn't feel like going in chronological order, just because I felt like that was a little cookie cutter. Plus, there's plenty of other YouTubers and entertainers on this platform and others that have gone through them in chronological order. So I wanted to change it up and just do it randomly. So I'm still shuffling. I don't know where -1 is anymore, and I don't know where any of the others are. Let us select the next film. We've got one. Keeping my eyes up. Here we go. See? We got one. I swear if this is -1, this is going to look rigged. It's all random, though. They're all folded up nice and neat. Okay? I'm going to actually... Do I love? No. The anime trilogy is at the bottom of my list. I respect what they were trying to do with those films. I respect the struggles of trying to get some of the concepts into the films that kind of left it open, but I'm not a big fan of them. Those are the only films I haven't seen in the last year, but I made myself put them on the list because they are films, they are counted, and I want to see, after this break of not watching them after a while, I want to see if my opinions changed on them. I definitely, like, out of the 3, Planet of Monsters, the first film, is, to me at least, the star child of the 2. Sitting on the Edge of Battle is my least favorite of the 3, and Sun Eater sits in the middle. I don't like the concepts of what they did with MechaGodzilla, and I don't like what they did with Ghidorah. Ghidorah was set up perfectly, and I just think execution was not the way to do it. Especially since we technically had a film and a half of build-up to it, and the fight is worse than some of the hug battles of Heisei. You know, it isn't action, really. It's just not what I would prefer. But we'll talk about that when we get to Sun Eater, and if my opinion doesn't change, which it probably admittingly not going to, but we'll see. The next Godzilla film review next week will be an interesting one. Interesting one indeed. Yes, all of them are pretty much dead. Godzilla goes and kills them all. Kind of like Monsterverse a little bit. The next Godzilla film in this marathon, the first Heisei film. In our reviews, we have one of my first Godzilla movies, Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah, 1991. This is the 5th episode for this marathon series, so everyone please be on the lookout next week. I will make a short. I would assume this will be Sunday. I already have one person for sure in mind for a guest for this film. Who hopefully scheduling open, will hopefully be able to make it. It's one of his favorite films. So, and I might try to get 1 or 2 more as well. It might just be him and I. It might just be me. We'll see. Like I said, scheduling. I try to work it out. 4 days with my guests, and then obviously we do a follow up on the day of, because things change, people get busy, life happens. Absolutely okay. absolutely okay. I understand it. Did I watch Singular Point? Yes, I love Singular Point, which is not in this list. This is only the movies, mainly because with my schedule, it's really hard to binge series in a week. So, Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah in 1991 is episode 5 of this movie series. I want to thank everyone for stopping by this live stream. Oop, 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 oop. It's glitching. Alpha Godzilla buddies, thank you for commenting and discussing with me throughout the live stream. I really, really do appreciate it. Thank you for subscribing and supporting. Lons Lopez too, thank you for stopping in. Kingzilla, thank you for stopping in. And I know there was a few people who stopped in just watching view count who maybe didn't comment, but they stopped by at least for a little bit. They checked out the live stream. Thank you guys for watching. Hope all is well in everyone's life, and putting out good vibes and energy for everyone who might be going through anything in their life. I hope everything works out. And everyone take care. Stay healthy. Have fun. Work to live, don't live to work, everyone. And take care of yourselves. Enjoy Godzilla. Enjoy everyone else. Let's keep continuing trying our best to keep this community in a happy, healthy spirits. And I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for stopping by. A quick teaser for the next review this week, upcoming, a controversial one. I'm sure I'm going to get hate for this. We will be reviewing the Godzilla 2024. Haven't decided what style of review it's going to be, but we're going to be talking about it. We're going to be talking about it indeed. So thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful night. Take care, and I'll see you all later. Bye, everyone. Thank you. Later.